Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Devis Scottish. Today we are discussing parents. Oh man, I could talk for so long about this. I could talk for hours about this, but I'm gonna be respectful of your time and really try to cut down to the real meat of it, right? So, I guess where do I start? Where do you start with a conversation like this? I would say, I guess to start, right? I would say I have a good relationship with both of my parents. I love both my parents, and I would be upset if anything happened to my parents, right? I don't have a perfect relationship with my parents, but who does, right? Who could truly say that they have a perfect relationship with their parents? It is hard to be a parent, and it's hard to always understand where your parents are coming from. But at the end of the day, our parents are human, and if they are good parents, they're trying their best. It's difficult. You know, I understand that my parents are trying to do the best they can. And I understand that my parents love me and want me to be doing well in my life, and they support me and are generally proud of me. These are all true things. I have I've had good moments with my parents, and I've had bad moments with my parents. I think that's part of being human. I think that no matter how good a parent you are, there will always be things that your children will find to disagree with you about. Just the same way that humans disagree on everything. Because that's, again, part of being human is the fact that we disagree with one another. I I love my parents. I do. My mom, I don't see as often as I would like, but she is always supportive and very loving and caring, always willing to listen, and always ready to be there emotionally. My dad, um, he can sometimes be a little judgmental and a little criticizing, but he is always here when it is important. He always shows up when it's important. I have a lot of complicated thoughts on everything, but I love my parents. I do. And I think before I was going to record today, I had more ideas of all the things I could talk about, but now that I'm here, I'm kind of like I don't really know how much I want to say, you know? I could talk about things that have upset me in the past with both of them, but some things are private and some things don't need to be brought into the world and all that. I instead think I want to talk a little bit more about the ways that my parents are there for me. My dad always helps me do my taxes every single year. Just yesterday, I had a scenario where I actually broke one of my front two teeth, and he went out of his way to drive me to a smoothie shop so that I could get some food in my system and not have to worry about making my broken tooth worse. He didn't have to do that, but he did because he's a good dad. My mom, bless her heart, took care of me pretty much the entire time I was going through cancer. And just recently, this past weekend or so, um, paid for lunch and met my girlfriend, and it was a good time. My parents are good people. I can complain because I get frustrated, and living with anyone, which I do still live with my parents, my dad specifically. I see my mom not as much as I'd like. I said that previously, but I do still live with my dad. Living with anyone is hard. Anytime that you are going to be living with someone and constantly in each other's spaces, bumping heads, and everything else, you're bound to have issues. Again, another part of being human. But that doesn't mean that I love my dad any less or I love my mom any less. It just means that I get frustrated sometimes and I need to vent about it. My parents are good people, and I'm happy they're my parents.
Mothers and fathers are always the one to raise a good son. Hello everyone, welcome to Divis Quarters, and today we are discussing our parents, a topic that has come up in individual parts of Divis Quarters videos, but has never been the sole subject of a video. And I will just ramble in this video. We will let that happen. We will let this be a free-flowing, hopefully a one-take video where I don't secretly stop recording and then I have to redo the whole thing because I just don't feel like editing. And I really should edit these. But I edit some of them, but I should edit the ones where I'm like, I just made one mistake. I could go back. I could do an edit. No, it's a one-take wonder, I'm afraid. But anyway, the whole point of this video is talking about our parents. I normally have something in mind with what I want to talk about, but today I'm just going to waffle. I'm going to let the words come out, not really think about it because I think it should come from the heart. And I really love my mum and dad. We don't say it enough. I am the most emotional in my family, and they, by their admission, will say like, "Oh, we don't say this enough, but like, we love you." But whenever I say like, "I love you" to my family, they're like, "Yep, okay." It's only when they feel like I'm going to throw this love at people, very easily done by text. But I think they love me. I hope they love me. I know they love me. I have, admittedly, if they for some reason happen to watch this, we had a bit of a rough year, I would say, at one point. It has been better, but in recent years, there was a rough patch of time, and I try not to hold that against them. And if you are watching this, hopefully you appreciate that, and hopefully you're not offended by it. But it was rough. It was a difficult time. I told them something that had happened to me, and I was sharing what I wanted to do with my life, and they weren't exactly positive about both. And the bad thing that happened to me, it wasn't a negative about the situation, it was negative about how I was tackling the situation, and their attention was on the wrong aspects. But I don't want to get lost in a bad year with my family. And what I really want to focus on is the good, because it has been better. I really like where I'm getting with my family, especially now that they see the life that I'm making for myself. So I want to tell you about my mum, my dad. and they are actually high school sweethearts. They met at Bells Hill Academy in 1970 something, maybe 80 something, and my dad had the biggest crush on my mum. She just thought she's amazing. She is a wonderful individual, and my mum. She thought it was alright, thought it was very friendly, but they were in science together, so back in the 80s it was very taboo of a woman to be in science, and my mum just loved it. Like, ever since she was young, she would always tell me, I just loved being creative, I loved doing science, like all that. Like, she wanted a microscope for Christmas or birthday or something, I don't know, but like, she wanted it and she got it, and she wanted, like, I wanted all these experiments, and like, I think she told me like her favourite gift she got growing up was like seeds. It was like, I want to grow beans. It was something like that. She thought it was so cool. So she always loved science. And if I was to describe my mum in any way, alien. Where is it on the shelf? Alien. She is Ellen Ripley. To her core, she is Ellen Ripley. And she just like, I know what I want to do. And they went on one date, my mum and dad, and it did not go well. So back in the 80s and 70s, this would actually tell you when they were going out and the times they were meeting, is there were two films out in the cinema. My dad's mum had said, you can only go like this far, you can only go to the cinema there. And there were two films showing. There was the big blockbuster at the time, Flash Gordon, which if you've seen Ted, yes, it's that Flash Gordon. And then there was a very sad film called The Elephant Man. And it's a very good film, so I've heard. I've never actually watched it. My mum says it's really good, but it's very sad. They saw The Elephant Man for their first date, and it's like, oh my goodness. Whenever I think about that, I just think it's so funny, because it is such a sad film based on what she said. And did not go far, and my dad was gutted. They broke up after that first date. It was like, I'm just not really feeling it. And for years, he went out for the people, but it's like, his heart was on her. And she went off, dated other people. They were friends because they lived in the same place. Would see each other at Christmas. Like, oh, I'll see Alan, and I should have actually said the names. My mum's called June, like the month, as she always says, and my dad is Alan. And they met, and like they would talk. But just one Christmas, my mum was about to move, or maybe she was coming back at one point. She moved to England, so they were both in Scotland. She moved to England. At one point, she came back, or she was just about to move, something like that. And she and him, like he said, like, hey, so there's someone from the school that I am sort of interested in asking out. And she was like, oh, tell me more, because she's such a, like, oh, I love the gossip. And he was like, how would I ask her out? I was like, well, you have to do this. And then at the end, my dad was driving her back, and he said the exact thing my mum wanted. And my mum was like, okay. And then she thought about it, like, but how will this work? How will long distance work? Which perfectly sums up their relationship. They started in long distance, and that is how they spent a lot of their relationship. But that classic, how will that work for my mum? That's always how she tackles situations. For as long as I have been alive, they have been doing a long distance relationship, to a point where people have asked me, like, when I say, like, oh yeah, I was raised by my mum, or like, oh yeah, like I'm with my dad this weekend, they think like, oh, your mum and dad divorced? Like, no, it's just what my dad had to do to provide. So let me like talk about the individuals a bit. So my dad is such a strong individual, and he I've mentioned my gran before and how she inspires me to be very, like, if I want to make the world a better place, and because he is her son, he also feels like that, and he does something when he was working. He did something that I will always stand by. He would just randomly bring in gifts and chocolate and bring that energy into the office, and I do that, and people think I'm weird. People think I'm weird for that, but it's just kind. It's just a kind thing. He thinks he's a terrible person, but he's not, because he used to, when he was travelling a lot, he'd stay in the hotels, and there'd be people that lived in hotels. He basically lived in that hotel as well, but there would be people that just lived there for whatever reason, and they would have children, and he would go and he would bring them gifts, and they didn't even know his name. The mum might have, like, oh, I'm Alan, like, here's some gifts, I've seen your boys around, like, they're so cute, whatever. But he would just do that and he'll walk away. And I wrote him a message once because he was just feeling rotten, because the job that he'd worked for however many years, as long as I was alive, 23 years at that point, maybe 24, they fired him, and they gave him a great, like, we're firing you, don't sue us because we're really firing you for nothing, here's all this money. He was able to retire early, but he'd never been fired before, as far as I know. That's not how he wanted to leave, even though he won in that situation. I wrote him this message, and I brought up that story about the boys, and I said, they might not remember you, but they'll remember what you did. Because I remember random strangers doing kind and not so kind things, but I remember the kind things, and I remember those, and they will remember him, and there's so many other things. He and I are very different. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but he was raised by his mum, in the same way that I was raised by my mum, but, well, maybe not the same way. His dad, when my dad was very young, so my grandpa, but it's hard for me to say that, he died when I, well, if I was going to say when I was, it would have been negative numbers. He died when my dad was about 10-ish, maybe a bit younger. And my dad doesn't really remember his dad. And I don't know if that's a coping mechanism or what, but that's the humanity of my dad, is that I remember him telling me when he was older than his dad, that felt impossible. And I remember I used to watch a lot of TV with my dad, and I still like to do it. And it's different now because we live in two different countries, so we can't really sync up like that. I need to get better at talking to my dad, because when I made my decision to move, both my mum and dad were vocal, but he was incredibly vocal about he didn't get it. And I think for my mum and dad, the decisions that they make, they have to buy into it themselves, and in some ways that means they have to, oh yes, the past is bad, and like the other thing is bad, we're sticking with what we want. They don't see the both sides of it, and I think when I said I want to go back to the life not the life that I had, because that would be impossible. I was younger then. I am that same person. It's different. But he didn't get it. He was like, it's the worst financial decision you would ever make. I disagree about that, but it's what he believed. He didn't get it. But I saw my vision, and there was friction, but we're getting better, and I need to talk to him more and be the one to push forward. So I need to make sure we finish this video before my mum tells him some big piece of news that's happening to me. Nothing major, it's not like, yes, I'm Doctor Who! It's just, oh, I have one sec. I'm Doctor Who! I've been told I can go on this business trip, which is very exciting, and I want to be the one to tell him, like, send him a quick text about it. I had already told my mum. So speaking of my mum, I hope I'm not, like, I'm wondering if there's anything else I can talk about my dad. He worked very hard. Even though he was always travelling, I always got it. I remember when I was in therapy and my therapist said, do you think the distance your dad had with, like, all the work and all the travelling, do you think that had a negative impact on you? And my genuine answer is no. My dad sacrificed so much, and it's not something I would sacrifice, but I wouldn't sacrifice how he did. I think he went above and beyond, and I could just never do that. It's not how I want to live my life. But that's not to say I do not appreciate every single thing that he did for my brother and I. So he works so hard, and yeah, there's weird things that my dad does. Like, yesterday we're going on a cruise in about a month and a half. So definitely, if you're watching this, I'll have to record ahead and figure that out in mid-September. So we have some time. But he gets very cross very, very easily, and he just will talk and say, like, just do it. I'm like, how do I do it? Like, he wanted me to share my screen, and I didn't know how to do that on Facebook Messenger, which is how we chat. I'm not on Facebook. I mean, technically I am, but I'm not official. Like, it's just a place I can be, that I can message my family. That's it. So don't try to add me on Facebook. So people do. They see me on Facebook, like, oh, I should add him. Like, I'll be honest. Love to text you. I'm not on Facebook officially. Notice how there's nothing there. So anyway, he gets very, like, anxious very quickly and like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? But I think that's just the way he was trained as a manager, and he did so much. He became a CEO. My dad studied chemistry, and has a PhD, and then he became a CEO of a company. I think that's incredible. I think that's so cool. Not something I'm interested in doing. I just want to be Doctor Who. But I think that's incredible. I'm liking this leaning position that I'm doing right now. I don't know. I'm like, oh yes, I'm civilized. So let's talk about my mum for a bit. I touched on her past. She doesn't have anything as tragic, I would say, like my dad does in terms of her childhood, but she grew up as a very much like, I want to do this, and she's very strong. I admire my mum. I admire my dad for being the first person, the first people in their family to go to university, and I admire them both because they came from a very poor town, very poor background, and they managed to make it and do something and make a life for themselves. And I think one of the major reasons we had a disagreement, and I didn't disagree with what they were doing, I disagreed with how they didn't want me to do what I wanted to do, is they wanted to leave their situation, and they saw moving to America as like the big thing. It's not my big thing, but that's what they've done. I remember when I was young, we'd go on holiday and we'd see these lovely houses and like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could get one of those? And they did it. They live in Florida now. Don't know why. Feel like it's a terrible place when I go. But they wanted that and they did it. And my mum, for about 13 years, maybe 12 of my life, she raised me. Well, no, actually, it's more like 8. But she had a career before me, and for 8 years, because she took a while to go back to work, she had a job where she was very senior, was working in the lab, loved it, and and she raised myself and my brother and the dog, kept the house clean. She did so much, and I don't know how she did it. I really don't. And I love my dad. I love my mum, and I really think they are special people. And I'm going to cry when I say this, but I need to say it because it's important. And maybe the fact that I've said I'm going to cry means I won't. And I want to cry. I like crying. I don't cry enough. My mum is sick, and she had cancer about 10 years ago, 9 years. So when I started university, and I had all the thoughts that maybe I should stop going and take a pause and make sure she's okay, because my dad was still travelling and my brother lived in Texas and I was the closest, and I just felt powerless. And I kept going and spent the summer with her and watched as she got better, and felt like a distant memory for a while. But I've always been the family therapist, basically. I've always been the one to listen to the problems of everyone. And went for years, just hearing my mum, always worried. She'd beaten the cancer, but she was always worried, what if it comes back, And I could never tell her, no, you're fine. But I could always just listen and encourage her, like, right now you are safe and you're okay and you're surrounded by people that love you. So when I made my decision to move, there was an initial cancer scare, and it turned out to be nothing at that point. But then, when did this happen? I think start of this year, maybe a bit before, she got a result and it was telling us the cancer's back. And I had moved, I had made my decision, and I didn't regret my decision, because one of my decisions I had to make was, would I be comfortable with this if my mum died and I wasn't there? And I could never say I was okay with it, but I could say I needed to do it. I needed to move, because I would never be okay with it, but I was never going to be living 5 minutes away. It was always going to be a travel. A day I would have to be like, I have to travel and see her. So I made my decision based on, I can't live based on what if she gets sick again, what if my dad gets sick again, what if my brother gets sick again. I have to live my life, because what if I get sick? So when I made my decision, there was that initial scare, turned out to be nothing, felt confident in doing it, and then she had a few other little scares, but it wasn't until the start of this year, or maybe the end of last year, can't remember, as I've said, she told us it's back. And I remember walking home and not regretting my decision, because we'd be having a different conversation. I'd be like, how do I get back? How do I go back and fix it? There's nothing to be fixed, because I'm so happy here. I'm surrounded by so many kind people. I'm surrounded by my people. But I just wish I had my family with me. I wish my brother was here. I wish my dad was here. I wish my mum was here. I wish I could support my mum through this beyond calls and texts, because I worry. And she told me she was battling it, and she's still battling it, but she was doing very intense things. I don't even know, but it was making her not enjoy life. And she told me, I'm going to stop doing that, and I'm going to do just this one thing. and it means there's no stopping it anymore, because it would only delay it at this point. She's going to try and freeze it, but she can't really do like all the massive things to delay it, which may or may not work. She's just going to do like a small thing to give her a bit more time. She said, can I have, do I want 6 years at best, maybe not 6, but some amount of years at best, where I'm not living life and I'm seeing life? Or do I want 2 years potentially of still doing what I want and then just a tiny rough period? And she didn't know what to do, and she was questioning her decision. And I said, there's 2 ways of living life, Mum. There's seeing life, and you're seeing people get married, or is that living life? And whatever you do, there's no wrong decision. It's just what you want to do. And she chose, I want to live life, and that was so her. I wouldn't want it any other way. She's living life, and she's worried, but she's doing things. She came to see me and she loved it, and she saw the things I was doing, and she's got a cruise. I'm joining her on a cruise. I've been on a cruise. She's trying to live life, and then she was attacked by a dog the other day, the other week, and I thought I was having a bad day. And the week before, after making this decision of I'm going to not do everything I can and just focus on living life, one of the first results she had after making that decision was a spike. So she thought I had more time. I thought I had more time. And I thought she had more time. But then she got attacked by this dog and fractured her ankle. And now she's thinking, great, this time that I'm meant to be like at my best, I can't do anything for 8 weeks at best. She can't. I'm trying to show her, like, oh, you can do this, you can. Like, I bought her this crocheting kit, is that what you call it? And she wanted to do that. She told me, like, oh, I'm really interested in doing this, so I bought her that. And she's been enjoying it, but I'm just trying to show her, like, look, you can do all these things. You can do it all from home. But she loves to swim, she loves to go for her walk, she wants to see things. And she can't, and she's worried about this cruise, because if she can't walk and see all these places, she's thinking, what's the point? I'm just trying to stop her from being sad. And you can't stop someone from being sad, but you can try. You can just try to do things. And I call her and I tell her, like, oh, look at all this, like, look at the things I'm doing. Like, oh, let me tell you about this terrible thing that's happening to the interns. And I'm just trying. And I remember when she told me that it was the poem day, actually. If you remember that video, I was already coming in and I was upset, and I chose to channel that upset nature. The original poem I was going to write is, I wish I had more time, and I just couldn't get it to work, so I focused it on another thing. And that's what I typically do when I'm upset, is I focus on other things that have upset me, and not the thing that actually has. And not in a way of lashing out, but I just focus on that problem. So for that, I focus on my ex. And I wanted to write I wish I had more time. And that wasn't written from her point of view. It's written from mine. It was written from a point of view of, I wish I had more time to prove to myself, not myself, it's not myself at all. I wish I had time to show my mum, because I know on the surface, on paper, I think I have time to show my dad, this is the life I'm living, and show him, like, I'm making a name for myself. But my mum, with the limited time, I can't rush the things I want to do. It just wouldn't work out. I'm never going to rush things. People used to ask me, Scott, what age do you want to be married? And I always said, I don't know. And it's not from a lack of caring, it's from a lack of, I don't want to rush anything. Because that's how mistakes are made. And I just wish I had time to get the life that I want. Because it's coming, I see the pieces coming together. But I just wish I had time so that she could see the things that I'm doing. I'm really sad. And I'm so happy I get to see my mum soon. And my dad, and my brother, of course, all of them. I just wish things could be different. I wish they could come with me. Join me on this journey. But it's the same way that I can't join them, isn't it? It's not. They're not living my life. So, I don't know how I never knew I was going to end this. I'm really worried about my mum and her experience, because she told me, like, this just feels like lost time. With my fractured ankle, I feel like I'm losing the time that I have, and it's already short. And she knows that the next test result, it could be the same, it could be less, it could be higher, and that's what she just doesn't know. It's so many unknowns. So, what can I do? I can keep trying and trying to move forward and help in any way, but I just have to focus on what I can control and hope that I can be a good son. So, this has probably been a very, very, very long video. I'm actually terrified to look at the other side of my phone and seeing how many minutes this is. I'm starting to think it has been 20 minutes. But hopefully it's been good. I don't know if anyone will watch this. I don't know. But if you did watch it, I'm alive. And I'm having a wonderful day. I really hope you are okay and things are going well for you. And if they're not, and you know me, talk to me. We're humans. We are humans, and we should be there for each other. Why? At work, this is unrelated, but there's so much friction between the interns and the people I work with, and why not just, with so much chaos in the world, why can't we just be kind? Why can't we just be kind? So, what am I going to do this weekend? I might see Spider-Man. That might be fun. I might blow my nose. That could be fun. I might sit around with Coop and sing a song. Who knows? We're not doing the Coop voice today. We're not doing that. But it's been a really interesting Difficult Day. And that's what this year is about. It's trying new things. So I don't know what tomorrow is. Actually, I do. But I'm not saying it. Because that would be a spoiler. And what if we change it? We might change the days. We could change. We could do the things you want to do. He said, with a snotty nose and the tears in his eyes, you gotta despise the way he sings at the end of the videos. Thank you all for watching, Diva Squatters. hopefully the other side is interesting. I don't actually know how to wrap this up. I probably added an extra 2 minutes to this video. But I shouldn't end it on like an overly like ooh, because this video is like family. We had to be talking about that. So let me share one final family thing. My dad tried to convince me that I should try Coke. This is when I was 5 or 6. I may have shared this on Devil's Cautious, and if I have, I'm sorry, but if I haven't, here you go. So he was like, I'm going to get Scott to try Coke. So we were at Universal Studios, maybe with Pepsi, don't know. And I was in a big milk phase, and he came up to me and he said, Scott, so sorry, they've ran out of milk, but we've got a new flavour of milk. It's called black milk. And I thought it was like chocolate milk, you know, it's like a different flavour. And I tried it, expecting it to have the consistency of milk. And I was like, and then the fizziness. I hate fizziness. I hate lemonade. I hate anything like that. I hate like orange juice. It's like the tingle. I was like, and I was running around looking for the toilet, just so I could spit it somewhere. And eventually I found this, like, plant, basically. And I was like, and I spat it out. And my mum was like, I don't think he liked it, Alan. That's our video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. 35 minutes!